Hello students, yesterday we had the part 3 of Poetry and Pancakes. Today we will be marching ahead of it. So far we have done the preliminary part of the explanation from the importance of the material pancake in German studio in 1940s to 1965. Furthermore, than that, it was included that the importance of the hierarchy maintained at the makeup department of German studio. Before that, the author wanted to convey to the readers that well before All India Radio and Doordarshan started their transmission on the programs, on the theme, on the subject of national integration. Before that, the makeup department of German studio was the best place to find, to justify, to see the terrific example of national integrity over there, because people worked from a different culture, from different states, from the different languages, okay, from the different countries even, okay, and that actually put up a great show of national integration. After that, the important thing was the character sketch of Kotmangalam Subbu, and yes, indeed, he is the pivot for the entire chapter and playing the part of a hinge for the chapter. Before that, you got to remember a small cameo of office boy who came to German studio with a desire, with an ambition, with a dream to become a star actor or a director or a screenplay writer or even a lyricist. He was a good poet also, but could not realize his dream, could not be what he wished to be, and eventually finished his career, okay, with a lot more dissatisfaction, frustration, irritation, okay, to be an office boy in makeup department whose job was to slap, was to paint, was to put makeup on the crowd faces when there was a crowd shooting. After that, Ashok Mitran, he is the narrator obviously of the entire chapter. He also spent a good deal of time at German studio. What his work was over there, that was he was given a cubicle, a small room where he was supposed to cut out the clips, okay, from the newspaper on wide variety of the subjects and matter, and file them, store them in a file or a folder. And those clips which he could not trim or cut out of the newspaper, he was supposed to write the hand script, okay, out of his hand there, and he got to write them out of his hand and obviously store them in a file. After that, the important stuff, obviously the character sketch of Kotmangalam Subbu, and then it was the legal advisor who actually was an illegal advisor who brought an unexpected end to the bright emerging actress career to a standstill well before it actually started. Then it is mentioned the outfit of the story writing department there. The poets generally preferred the homespun cotton, that was khadi, and they wore, since they were the disciple of Gandhi, so therefore they preferred the Indian homespun cotton fabric, that was khadi, and oversized loose shirt. But the lawyer obviously looked distinguished among all them, and he generally wore a pant or a tie, and sometime a mail coat. Mail coat generally looks like an armor, look like having the lappings of the metal pieces there. Sometimes he wore, not always. Otherwise, shirt, pant, and a tie he wore there. But he is called the person with a cold logic. Cold logic, I mean, who doesn't give any sort of preference, who doesn't have any sort of human sympathy, who doesn't have any sort of emotion, or doesn't value the human emotion and sentiments there. He was a person of cold logic. That was the last thing we have done. Let us resume the journey from there. Neutral man he was, an assembly of Gandhijis and Khadijis. Like so many of those who were close to the boss, he was allowed to produce a film, and though a lot of raw stock of pancake were used on it. Obviously, lawyer, like other writers there, he had the right actually to produce a movie of his own, there. And obviously, when a lawyer would be allowed to produce a movie, obviously a lot of expenses to be made on his part, and the movies which he produced there obviously consumed a lot of pancake, the branded material stuff there. Almost truckloads he used it, or if truckloads of pancakes were used there, obviously a lot of money was consumed, was spent while making of that particular movie. And a lot of raw stock and the pancake were used on it. Here, raw stock and pancake here means a lot of pancake, the makeup material, the stash of pancakes were used, by the lawyer when once he produced a movie for Gemini Studio. Used on it, not much came of the film. The movie produced by the lawyer, obviously under the flagship of Gemini Studio, proved to be utter flop, proved to be a utter debacle. It didn't perform well at the box office. Means it was a flop movie. Then what happened? Then one day the boss closed down the story department, and this was perhaps the only instance in all human history where a lawyer lost his job because the poets were asked to go home. And once you see, it's all about as long as the producer, the owner, kept minting money out of the movies, he kept all of his own, all departments on. But the moment he tested the flavor of a flop movie, obviously it was a big loss for him, indeed. Therefore, out of frustration, he decided, let us close, let us wind it out, the story department. So he wound out the story department of Gemini Studio. And you see, if the Gemini Studio story writing department will be wound up, will be closed down, obviously it is a bad news for all those employees there. So if story writing department had many writers, many poets there, obviously they got to lose their job, since the story writing department was closed down. But unfortunately, the lawyer whose name was mentioned in the role of story writing department, even he too had to lose his job there. So perhaps it is the only instance or the example in the human history where a lawyer lost his job when the poets and the writers were asked to leave. Because the story writing department was closed, the name of the lawyer was mentioned in the roll list or the story writing department of Gemini Studio. And when it was closed down, everyone, all those got their name registered, enrolled in the story writing department, obviously they were asked to leave. All were fired, and therefore lawyer also had to lose his job when it is the only example in the human history when a lawyer lost his job, when the poets and the writers were asked to leave. The tone is sarcastic. The tone of the poet is satirical, the writer is satirical. Go home. Gemini Studios was the favorite haunt. A frequently visited place is called haunt. Frequently visited place is called haunt. And Gemini Studios was the favorite haunt of poets like S.D. Yogiar. Please do remember 2-3 big names out of these 4-5 names there. All were the great poets, all were the great writers there. S.D.S. Yogiar, Sandhu Subramaniam, Krishna Sastri, and Harindranath Chattopadhyay. It had an excellent mess which supplied good coffee at all the times and for the most part of the night there. Now, obviously, Gemini Studio was the frequently visited place. Obviously, for many of the famous or the first rate writer and the poets of that time there. Harivandranath Chattopadhyay was there, Krishna Sastri was there, Subramaniam was there, and many more others there. Okay, and you see, when we talk about the quality of the mess is a place there in a company or in a factory or in Gemini Studio that produce, that supplied, that availed meals and coffee or the tea or refreshment to its employees there. And when we talk about the mess of Gemini Studio, the coffee was quite popular of Gemini Studio there. Coffee obviously was very much famous, supplied by the mess of Gemini Studio. It had the supply, and obviously the coffee was supplied to the artist not only the daytime, the most part of the night too, to the writer. And you must be knowing why night is mentioned, because the writers had the tendency to mug up their content, to ponder down, to contemplate what is to be written, how to be written, this and that. So night time to me is the most conducive time, congenial time, suitable time to write something creative, and in all in silent hours of the night, when there will be no hustle and bustle of the daytime, no sound of the daytime. So in night time also, the mess of the Gemini Studio supplied the tasty coffee, the delicious coffee, the sumptuous coffee, to its employees, especially the writers who were there, busy, indulged in writing some script, of the upcoming movies. Coffee at all the times, and those were the days in which most of the time, those were the days when Congress rule meant prohibition. When somebody forbids doing something, that is called an act of forbidding something is called prohibition there. And in those days, Congress was obviously in the ruling regime party there, and it had forbidden many of the entertaining things there. The public gathering, the making a gathering for any other particular purpose or entertaining purpose was strictly prohibited. People could not meet in form of a social gathering for doing something entertaining or recreational there. And therefore the mess of that supplied by Gemini Studio was a terrific entertaining thing for those writers, because they could collect themselves, gather themselves in a gang almost there, and with a sip of coffee it was highly entertaining that. Meant prohibition in meeting over a cup of coffee was rather satisfying entertainment. There were no other entertaining activities or the actions were allowed, were permitted, granted by the ruling party, Congress party. And when they got huddled themselves, united themselves, gathered themselves in the mass of Gemini Studio, and over a cup of coffee, it was the only means of entertaining the people there. It was the only means, it was the only medium they could entertain themselves there. Otherwise, the rest of the things were forbidden by the ruling regime of Congress party. Satire has been used. Meeting over a cup of coffee and then took office of barring, getting them out, barring, not to let, not to allow, barring the office boys and a couple of clerks there. So clerks and that office boy, they were not allowed to be the part of or to enjoy coffee with those writers and the poets. They were first asked to leave the mess, and only writers were and the poets were allowed to recreate themselves with sumptuous, delicious, tasty coffee there. Clerks, office boy were asked to leave. They were not allowed to enjoy coffee with those writers there. They were busy in some other task. Clerks and office boy were busy, indulged in other works there. They were not allowed to do so. Barring them, every pickup of clerks, everybody else at the studios radiated, enjoyed, leisure, free time, a prerequisite for poetry. Most of them wore khadi and worshipped Gandhiji, obviously, but beyond that, they had not the faintest, lightest appreciation, admiration okay, for political thought of any kind there. Obviously, all the writers or the poets of that time of Gemini's duo, they put on khadi. Khadi was an Indian homespun cotton yarn, okay, cotton fabric. Obviously, Gandhiji was the forerunner, was an apostle, was the spearhead of khadi culture or the khadi movement in India there. So obviously they were the disciple, they were the pupil, they were the followers of Gandhi. Therefore they wore generally khadi there. But when we talk about the political interest of those writers and the poets who assembled in the mess of Gemini's duo, okay, they had got no inclination, they have got no political bent, they were having no political stoop of any kind there. Only one part was associating themselves to Mr. Gandhi, that they too wore khadi like Gandhi did. Apart from that, okay, besides than that, okay, there was not a single, not a chance where we can find those writers or the poet, okay, who can be called that they were having some political test or the political inclination there. No, nothing was there. Prerequisite for poetry, the studios radiated leisure. Why a leisure, free time, or with the coffee, with the tasty coffee is called prerequisite? Yes, indeed there. Because a free mind only can think creatively or in a very innovative manner, in a constructive manner there. And free time and a cup of coffee is there for you, obviously makes a lot easy the task of writing new script, writing newly creative stuff there. So leisurely or free time with a cup of coffee is mentioned here, a prerequisite. Prerequisite, pre-required thing. Prerequisite, pre-required thing there. Pre-required thing, when we do that thing, it helps us doing something extraordinary in coming time. That is called prerequisite, pre-required there, okay, for writing poetry. Most of them wore khadi, this and that, appreciation of political thought of any kind. It means they had least political inclination. Only one thing could associate themselves to politics, that was they wore khadi, and obviously they were the follower of Gandhi. Apart from that, nothing was there in them which can tell them that they were having a great taste for politics there. Naturally, they were all averse to the term communism. All averse, all disliking. All averse, all disliked. All disliked the term communism. Communism, socialism. Socialism, we can call it there. Okay, all averse, they didn't like it. They didn't like. They had a strong dislike for the term communism. Now, please get your copy on, put your copy open, keep your copy open, and start narrating, writing a brief note on communist. What type of person communist was in those days? Check it out. Almost 5 things are mentioned in this particular small paragraph, and I want you to write those 5 character sketch or the elements, okay, of components, okay, of a communist. Communist, who he was? A communist was a godless man. Godless man, atheist, who doesn't believe in the existence of God. Atheist, godless man. Okay, he was a atheist, godless man, one who doesn't believe. First thing, a communist was a godless man, an atheist he was. He had no filial. There are 2 types of love. Well, one love towards your son and daughter, and second love for your wife or for wife, for her husband, like that. So the love between married couple, conjugal love. Love for your son, love for your daughter is called filial love. So a communist has got neither filial nor conjugal love. Filial love, love for your son or daughter, whatever love is due for your son and your daughter is filial. Conjugal love, love between the married couple is called conjugal love. But he had got no love, neither for son and daughter, nor for his wife there. He had no compunction about killing his own parents or his children there. Since he had got no filial and no conjugal love, obviously he will be having no compunction. Compunction, a feeling of regret. A feeling of regret or a guilt after committing some crime. He didn't have, a communist didn't have any sort of guilt any sort of feeling of guilt, feeling of regret there, even after killing his own parents or sometime even his children, because he had got no filial, no conjugal love, or he will be having no guilt feelings there, even after killing his own parents or children there. This was the third point. Children, he was always out to cause and spread unrest and violence among innocent and ignorant people there. Now there's the fourth point there. He was always out there of home to spread what? Social unrest. Unrest, you can say to start, to move out, to cause the dissatisfaction and disturbance. Unrest, dissatisfaction and disturbance, among the common people, among the innocent people, among the ignorant people. That was his hobby, to cause what? Disturbance and dissatisfaction among the innocent, poor and ignorant people there. Then, ignorant people, such notions, such ideas, such notions which prevailed everywhere else in South India, and at that time also naturally moved here and there, vaguely, uncertainly, vaguely, unclearly, vaguely among the khadi clad, khadi worn, khadi covered, khadi clad poets of Gemini Studios. Evidence of it was soon forthcoming. Coming soon, which is about to be there, which is about to arrive. Violence among such notions were prevailed everywhere in South India, and apparently floated vaguely among the khadi clad. So, the meaning of those 5 lines is that all those poets and the writers at Gemini Studio, they had the strong disliking for communism, for communists there. Communist was a godless man. He didn't have any sort of filial or conjugal love. He will be having no compunction, feelings of guilt of committing some crime, even after killing his own parents or even the children there. He was always out to cause what? Some social disturbance or the social dissatisfaction among the innocent, poor and ignorant people there. And all the poets had got the same mentality, that they were all against communist or communism there. This was the well-spread thing, prevalent thing all around South India. Each and every writer and the poet, of intellectuals, we can call it there, they were having a strong averse disliking for communism as well as communist person there in those days there. And did they really like or did they really dislike the communism of communist people there? The evidence, the proof was about to come. Check it out. Khadi clad, khadi worn. When Frank Buchman, Moral Rearmament Army, MRA, Frank Buchman, MRA, was an international circus. First let me read and we'll explain later. When Frank Buchman, Moral Rearmament Army, MRA, armament, military weapons, army, some 200 strong, visited Madras sometimes in 1952, they could not have found a warmer host in India than that of Gemini Studio. Someone called them the group of an international circus. They weren't very good on the trapeze and later on. First one, when Frank Buchman, how we can say that the writers and the scholars or the intellectuals or the poets of Gemini Studio, they had a strong disliking for communism or communist fellows. The example is coming soon. When in 1952, Frank Buchman was the founder of MRA, Moral Rearmament Army. What was it? It was an international circus. Come, a counter movement to communism. A counter movement to communism. It means that it was the rival of communism. It was an oppressor. It was in opposition. To communism there. They didn't like it there. So MRA, the founder, the propounder, obviously was Frank Buchman, a moral rearmament army. It was like an international circus plus a counter movement to communism there. Someone called the end, you see, when we talk about their welcome, it was very warm there. The Gemini Studio fraternity and the community, obviously headed by S.S. Watson, gave them a huge welcome, give them a warm welcome. Around 200 people, obviously MRA consisted of 200 members there, and all were given a great welcome at Gemini Studio. A great hospitality was bestowed over MRA people by Gemini Studio staff. They weren't very good on the trapeze group and international circus. They weren't very good on the trapeze, and the acquaintance with animals was only at the dining table there. Two things you got to remember in this particular paragraph. That first of all, trapeze. What do you mean by trapeze? Trapeze is a horizontal bar attached with a rope. It is a metal piece, trapeze are. So on which the ropes are attached, okay, and generally those acrobats in circus, they used to swing from one place to another, and at the bottom you might have seen in many circuses they spread a net, and from at the higher elevated place there, from one place to another, an acrobat, a person or sometimes joker gets it right from here, having a metal bar in his hand, and moves to other part of that place where another person, acrobat, is ready to take a swing there out of a metal bar. That is called trapeze. And second one, they were not good at. So though MRA was an international circus almost, but the people, the artists of MRA, they were not good at putting the stunt, performing the stunt called trapeze. Trapeze, a horizontal metal bar attached over the rope. Generally the acrobat of the circus take a ride from one place to another. It is a deadly stunt, I must say that, but they were not good at trapeze. And secondly, and when you talk about circus, there may be a huge gathering of the animals also in the zoo or in the circus there. So, but when you talk about the knowledge of MRA people about the animals, it was curtailed. It was hardly anything they knew about animals there. Their knowledge, acquaintances about animals was what can say, curtailed to dining table. Dining table curtailed, it means that they were non-vegetarian. They might be taking the meat, okay, in their meals of in the evening and as well as in the morning time, lunch or dinner time. But beyond that, they didn't know anything about the animals. Their knowledge, acquaintance towards animal was limited to dining table only. They could eat the meat of the animals, but beyond that, okay, they knew nothing about animals. Though people who work in circus, they must be knowing each and every in and out, okay, an expanded knowledge they must have about the animals, but their knowledge was not, their knowledge was limited, was not expanded, and their knowledge was limited to dining table. It means they might have been eating the meat of those animals, but after that, beyond that, they knew nothing there. So neither they were good at trapeze, at stunt, nor they were good at the knowledge about animals there. The group of international circus, they were not good on trapeze, and their acquaintance with the animals was only at the dining table, but they presented to plays in a most professional manner. Their Jotham Valley and the Forgotten Factor ran several shows in Madras, and along with the other citizens of the city, the Gemini family of 600 saw the plays over and over again there. Though they might not have been good at what you can say, trapeze and their knowledge about animals, but when we talk about their art, their skill, their talent at playing plays, performing plays on a stage, they were deadly, they were terrific. Especially the two plays they played okay, on the stage in obviously in Madras. First one, the Jotham Valley, and the second one was Forgotten Factor. they were first rated plays there, and almost 600 people of Gemini Studio watched those two plays time and again, because in Madras that particular Jotham Valley and the Forgotten Factors might have been played by Gemini Studio, might have been played by MRA people, 200 people, many a time there. And whenever they played these two terrific, mind-blowing plays on the stage, all the time the 600 people or the family of Gemini Studio relish it, saw it, and they get a great entertainment out of it there. They liked it very much. Which two particular things were liked by very much of Gemini, of MRA's play, you can say two plays. One is Jotham Valley in the Forgotten Factors. Two first-rated things out of those two plays were, or the message of the plays were usually plain and simple. When you talk about the theme, the message, it was absolutely plain and simple. Nothing great about that message of those Forgotten Factor and Jotham Valley. But what was special or peculiar about it, extraordinary about it, exclusive about it? Again, the message of the about simple homilies there. Homilies, preaching. Homilies, preaching, religious teaching there. Simple, plain and simple. It was having the message too. But the sets and the costume were first rate. But the sets and the costume worn by the players, oh my God, superlative stuff there. So the stage decoration and the artist dress, or the clothes which they put on, the costume they put on, was of superlative stuff there. Underline those stage as well as their costume were of first-rated stuff there. The sets and the costumes were of superlative stuff. Madras and the Tamil drama community were terribly impressed. Terribly generally used for negative purpose, but here awfully, here tremendously, greatly, here terribly, greatly impressed there. It means the two plays, Jotham Valley and Forgotten Factor by MRA, cast an indelible impression, a great impact, a great influential over the local Tamil people as well as the 600 people of Gemini Studio. And for years, almost all Tamil plays had a scene of sunrise and sunset in the manner of Jotham Valley. And once MRA departed, even they left a great legacy after them. Those plays performed by Gemini Studio people, they almost imitated, emulated, they copied the sets of Jotham Valley, that was having sunrise and sunset in the manner of Jotham Valley, and a bare stage also. No illuminated decoration on the stage, bare simple stage they kept it. A white background curtain and a tune played on the flute there. So a constant tune on the flute was played at the background. No glitter and glitz on the stage. Sunset and the sunrise scenario was frequently represented by Jotham Valley characters on the stage there. So that was emulated by the Gemini Studio people. Whenever they performed their own plays on the stage, they copied, they emulated, they imitated the sets, the vision, the costumes of those MRA people when they came to Gemini Studio. They copied each and every sets, each and every dress or the costume was they Jotham Valley, and the characters, the artists of Gemini Studio copied each and everything. Not for a year or two, for many years. A tune played on, it was some years later that I learned that MRA was kind of a counter movement to international communism, and the big bosses of Madras like Mr. Watson simply played into their hands. And after some time, Mr. Ashok Mitran came to know that MRA was not a circus, it was a counter movement, it was a rival of communism. And since S.S. Watson was an anti-communist person, therefore he gave a warm welcome to MRA, Frank Bookman's model rearmament army. So it was not the liking of circus or trapeze or the play Jotham Valley. Due to that, S.S. Watson greeted, welcomed them with a great generous heart. No, it was not the reason. Reason was Mr. S.S. Watson himself was an anti-communist. MRA was also having an anti-communist creed and the principle or the notion. Therefore, they were welcomed generously by Mr. S.S. Watson. And SS Vasan and other people were played into their hands. Their hands refers to those big bosses, those big people of anti-communist creed worldwide there. So anti-communist creed or the movements not only were going on in some certain part of the world, almost entire world had a great movement, a great aversion towards towards communist party and their creed and their notion, and as part of their order, SS Vasan had to follow their orders, and therefore he welcomed those MRA people at his Gemini studio. It was not the liking for the Jotham Valley and Forgotten Factor. SS Vasan, anti-communist. MRA, anti-communist. Therefore, he had to welcome them with a generous heart. The big bosses of Madras, like Mr. SS Vasan, simply played into their hands. I am not sure. Ashok Mithun is not sure, however, that this was indeed the case, for the unchangeable aspect of these big bosses and their enterprises remained the same. Though Ashok Mithun is not that certain that it was the only reason, because you never know, because these people, the big bosses like SS Vasan, they have the diplomatic attitude there. The colors of the character keeps changing as the weather changes like that. So it was really the reason, therefore he welcomed MRA, because he himself was an anti-communist there. You never know. Unchangeable there, frequently changeable. Unchangeable, frequently changeable there. You never know when SS Vasan would take his turn towards you can say Communist Party, or when he may be having his aversion with it there. You never know. Highly diplomatic these big bosses are, like SS Vasan. Remain MRA or no MRA, we can't say. International communism or no international communism. The staff of Gemini Studios had a nice time hosting 200 people of all hues, all colors, all creed, hues, colors, and sizes of at least 20 nationalities there. MRA was comprising of 200 people, or almost 20 nationalities were incorporated by MRA. It means the people of almost 20 countries participated or were the members of MRA there. Nationality, it was such a change from the usual collection of, and when they stayed for another almost a month time there, it was a big change for the 600 people of Gemini Studio. Obviously they were disconnected from the regular routine. As long as they stayed, MRA stayed there, obviously Gemini Studio people or the workers or the employee didn't have anything to do, because all were indulged in hosting those 200 people of MRA only. So it was obviously a change. Studios in nice time hosting 200 people of hues and sizes of at least 20 nationalities. It was such a change from the usual collection of crowd players waiting to be slapped with thick layers of makeup by the office boy in the makeup department. Obviously, it was a great change for them. The routine, the normal routine was obviously impeded. There was no crowd shooting day. There was no filmmaking there. All the entire fraternity of Gemini Studio of 600 people kept busy in hosting, welcoming, availing, fulfilling all the demands of MRA 200 people who stayed there almost for 20 to 30 days. It was a great change for them. Till here it is okay, beta. Today's explanation is over. Please listen this video capsule time and again to own your listening efficiency. Thank you very much, dear.